Hey all, Alex from Music Hub here, and today we'll be doing a review of the 2000 book by Doron Swade, The Difference Engine, Charles Babbage, and the Quest to Build the First Computer. Charles Babbage, born the 26th of December 1791 in London, died the 18th of October 1871 in London. Babbage was a prodigious mathematician who also was somewhat of a free spirit as an inventor, with his accomplishments ranging from inventing the cowcatcher for locomotives to raising vigorous public interest campaigns against organ grinders and street musicians. But we remember Babbage today for two inventions of his. One was the difference engine, which was one of the first fully mechanical polynomial calculators, or as they would have also been called at the time, computers. The other was the analytical engine, which added an extra layer of complexity to the difference engine by having the input be submitted through punch cards rather than being entered in manually. This allowed for more complex computations and the ability to have something like a sense of memory in the device, where you could use the results of one punch card to then start the next mathematical computation. These concepts were never fully fleshed out during Babbage's lifetime, but they form the basis for computer design as we know it today. So Babbage really deserves the recognition of being one of the most influential scientists to have ever lived. This book was written by Doron Swade, born October 1946 in Cape Town. Probably the perfect person to write a book on Babbage, Swade has worked on Babbage-related projects at the Science Museum in London, most famously the reconstruction of Babbage's difference engine that was finished in 1991. It was the first complete, fully functional construction of Babbage's model, as Babbage was never able to find the funding necessary to complete it in his lifetime. The thing about this book is that this is structured in two parts. The bulk of the book talks about the development of Babbage's ideas and his many failed attempts to win support for them. And the last 80 or so pages talk about Swade's own venture to construct the replica of Babbage's machine. I think this structure works if the reader already has knowledge about the project or has some existing stake in the whole deal. But when you're coming at it fresh, like I was, and as I would imagine many people are, it comes off a bit lacking. In some ways, it feels like there are two separate book ideas here that could have been expanded on as individual pieces, but Swade chose to combine the two into a single narrative that feels a bit rushed and doesn't necessarily have a grasp on what type of audience it's trying to reach. Swade's writing style is technical and on the dry side, which shouldn't be surprising, and I think he does do a good job at explaining the significance of Babbage's designs in the first third or so of the book, and I think that's where it works at its best. But when it all gets out of the nuts and bolts of engineering and mechanics, Swade isn't an especially compelling prose writer, and I found focusing on this book to be difficult at times because of that. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention that Swade comes off very dismissive of one particular figure in this whole story, Ada Lovelace. Lovelace is credited by many as being the first so-called computer programmer, by conceptualizing the idea of an algorithm that a computer could interpret into a particular function. But Swade sort of scoffs at this idea and actually goes so far as to say that Lovelace had minimal mathematical or scientific ability at all. The credit he gives her is for being a free thinker, a prophet of sorts, for seeing the potential of the machine when nobody else could, and doing her best to advocate for Babbage and give him good PR at a time when he was kind of incapable of doing that for himself. Perhaps it's a fair perspective to some degree, even if he is in the minority of the greater scientific community by thinking that way, but the vocabulary he uses to describe her and her contributions, using words like, reading from the book, demanding, bossy, coquettish, and irritable, just seems unnecessary. Like, come on, show her a little bit of decency. There is some value to this book, but I won't pretend like there aren't things that I really did not care for while reading it. And as such, I doubt I'm ever going to come back to it, and I'll probably look elsewhere for a proper biography of Babbage in the future, so I can further educate myself. Maybe one of Ada Lovelace, too. We shall see. But in any case, that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, more reviews are to come. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Music Hub.